Hello professors, fellow students, and anyone else who might be watching. I'm Stephanie Ishler, and this is my thesis proposal presentation. My working title is Free Educational Video Online in the Korean University EFL Education System. Is this a viable option? To give a little background information on why I chose this topic, originally I met my husband, who's an English professor here at KHU, and helped him make a short documentary movie about Korean education, titled The Sunung, Korea's University Entrance Exam. Link to the movie down in the description box below if you're interested. That was in 2009. Then in 2010, he was hired by Kyung Hee with Dr. Sung's help to make a web series about the experience of international students in Korea. I observed all of this, and then in 2012, I started making my own YouTube videos about Asian dramas and life in Korea. Now, as someone who's currently working on their master's degree in English education, it goes without saying that I have become increasingly more interested in educational video online. As a YouTuber, I pay attention to what other YouTubers and successful YouTube channels online do. I've especially been paying attention recently to education channels. To give a more specific example of this semester I analyzed and coded a video titled Revolutionizing Education with Weirdos. John Green, one of the brothers who runs this channel, is also a successful best-selling author who currently has one of his books adapted into a movie that's in theaters right now across multiple countries. In fact, they have 8 channels dedicated to some sort of free educational video on YouTube. I even watch some of them in my free time just because I find them interesting. The message of this particular video that I coded was to speak with some of the most prominent YouTubers who are developing educational content online. The 4 overarching principles that I observed in what makes a successful educational video were that a video should be educational, entertaining, should have some call to action, and have approachability, or should be academically accessible to all viewers. In other words, it shouldn't be too difficult to understand for the common viewer, or jargon of the video just shouldn't be too complex. So, in this presentation, I will try to accomplish this. Having lived in Korea for 5 years, one of the most frequent complaints that I hear about is the cost of education. According to the Chosun Ilbo in 2011, it costs 262 million won, or approximately $250,000, to raise a child from birth to university graduation. Link to that article below if you'd like to read it. This cost not only increases as the child gets older, but with inflation that number steadily increases. Some families are even going into debt because of this. And this makes me question, what can we do to make education more accessible and available to all? It's also important to note here that Korea is one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world. This country has some of the highest speed, most reliable internet service around. Mobile device possession is so extensive that 78% of the population uses smartphones, taken from a Curry 2014. Further, 97% of 18 to 24-year-olds use these devices. A rough analysis from one of my recent classes of the data shows that Asia's use of YouTube videos for English study lag behind Europe, Africa, the Middle East, North and South America. That's basically the entire rest of the world. South Korea's number was even farther below that at 20%. This is low versus Africa's usage at 40% with the same number of respondents, and Europe at 69%, for example. Please note, this did exclude people from native English-speaking countries, as designated by the 7 countries allowed to teach English in Korea. So yeah, it's not really being used much. And this isn't really a problem, except that it's a free, available tool to use in education. So this now brings me to my topic, free educational video online, or as I will be referring to it henceforth by the acronym FEVO. So what is FEVO? FEVO includes TED Talks, Khan Academy, Coursera, Academic Earth, YouTube EDU, and many more. It's particularly useful in content-based instruction, as you can find information on virtually any topic in video form these days. Generally, they are authentic materials by native English speakers or fluent non-native English speakers. They come from a variety of regions and dialects, and include both experts in their field and amateurs. This is something that's impossible to do by paying an individual teacher in a classroom. And many of these videos are available to stream on computers and or mobile devices. My focal group is Korean University EFL education, particularly students, as this is an area that I've taught in the past and hope to teach again in the future. Throughout the 1950s until the end of the 1980s, there was a lot of meta-analysis study on video and education. These include Cohen in 1981, Norberg in 1961, Schramm in 1962, Chu and Schramm in 1967, Reed and McLennan in 1967, and McNeil in 1989. Generally, these studies showed that video could be effective in education, but there were still many questions on development and implementation. The 1990s brought anchored instruction, thanks to the Cognition and Technology Group at Vanderbilt University in 1990. It's based on the theory of situated cognition, in that video is used to anchor the lesson, to allow a more authentic problem-solving environmental context. What this means in layman's terms is that in the classroom, the video can provide a visual and human element to physically observe. The Vanderbilt group also noted the dynamic visual nature of the video and random access capabilities that allow more flexibility within the classroom. That means that, you know, it's bright and colorful and you can play it and go back and rewind and play it again. In 1992, Arnon and Grabowski did a study on computer-based interactive video and its effects on children. This study showed that learner-controlled video with advisement was more effective than other forms of instruction, with or without video. In the year 2000, Lage, Platt, and Teglia introduced the term inverted classroom. Now it's more commonly known as a flipped classroom. Bishop and Furlager in 2013 defined the flipped classroom as an educational technique that consists of two parts: interactive group learning and activities inside the classroom, and direct computer-based individual instruction outside of the classroom. At the present time, South Korea has begun to make FEVO a more integral part of the classroom, particularly within child studies of flipped classrooms, according to Horn 2014. It's even been broadcast on television stations such as KBS. Early results suggest that it's successful in boosting achievement level and motivation in students. They certainly like the free access to native speakers, which they noted may have the potential to reduce some of the need of private academies. That in turn will save some people some money, though consequently some of us may lose our jobs. This isn't to say that FEVO isn't without its problems, especially in the areas of limited vocabulary and cultural misunderstanding. It should also be noted that the use of captions or subtitles in videos negates some of the value of using FEVO versus actual physical textbooks. My current research questions are as follows. 1. Amongst Korean University EFL students, what do they perceive to be the extent of FEVO usage, both inside and outside the classroom environment? 2. What is the teacher's reasoning for use or non-use of FEVO amongst Korean University EFL students, and how it impacts student learning? 3. What are the common perceptions of Korean University EFL students towards utilizing FEVO and assisting with self-directed learning? And 4. How are these common perceptions and attitudes of both Korean University EFL teachers and students towards FEVO influencing the proclivity of FEVO to aid in addressing the issue of educational costs? As for my status right now, I'm currently working on and finalizing my interview and survey questions, and I will be conducting pilot and test studies next semester on Korean University EFL students. There will be a general survey that corresponds with my research questions, with volunteer interviews of both students and professors on their use of FEVO. The survey will be a Likert type with some open-ended questions. My goal is to finish initial data studies by October 2014, and hopefully finish my thesis by December of the same year, this year. Fingers crossed. It's my hope that this research can be used in order to gain some general understandings and patterns on perceptions and use of FEVO both within and out of the classroom. Is it a viable option to provide free educational video online or FEVO to Korean University EFL students? I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and thank you very much. Bye!